Welcome to Cozy Sleep Time. Get comfortable and take a slow breath. Let your body relax more and more. Simply listen or let your mind drift. There is no need to focus. Let the quiet story begin. Tonight we explore the gentle world of rain and why it has such a calming effect on the human mind and body. There is something almost ancient about the way rain makes us feel. Long before there were houses with roofs and windows, long before there was electricity or central heating, early humans listened to the rain falling around them. They heard it pattering on broad leaves overhead, dripping from the mouths of caves, falling softly onto the earth. And in those moments, rain signaled something important. It meant that activity would pause. It meant that it was time to rest. This instinct has never left us. Even today, when rain begins to fall, something shifts inside the mind. The rhythm of raindrops seems to bypass the busy parts of the brain and speak directly to something deeper, something calmer. The steady repetition of each drop creates a pattern that feels predictable and safe. The brain does not need to be alert when rain is falling. There are no sudden surprises in the sound of rain. Each drop follows the one before it, gently, without hurry, without demand. Rain also changes the quality of the air. When rain falls, it cleanses the atmosphere. Dust particles are washed away. The air becomes cooler and feels lighter to breathe. There is a freshness that follows rain, a quiet stillness that settles over the landscape. This change in the air has a physical effect on the body. Breathing becomes easier. The sense of smell picks up the earthy scent of wet soil and damp leaves. All of these sensations work together to create a feeling of calm. The sound of rain is also deeply layered. It is not a single note, but a collection of thousands of tiny sounds, each one slightly different from the last. A raindrop landing on a rooftop sounds different from one landing on a leaf. A drop that falls onto water creates a different tone from one that falls onto dry ground. All of these sounds blend together into what we perceive as rain, but the brain continues to notice the subtle variations within the pattern. This keeps the mind gently engaged without requiring focus. It is the perfect balance between stimulation and rest. There is also the visual aspect of rain. Watching rain fall through the air, seeing it streak down a window pane, observing how it ripples across puddles on the ground. These gentle movements draw the eye without demanding attention. The soft gray light of a rainy day is softer than sunlight, easier on the eyes, more forgiving. The world outside seems wrapped in a quiet blanket of cloud and moisture. Colors appear deeper. Shapes seem softer. The edges of the world become blurred and gentle. Rain also affects our sense of time. On a rainy day, time seems to move more slowly. The busy rush of daily life feels less urgent. The rain seems to say that there is no need to hurry. It gives permission to slow down, to rest, to do nothing at all. This natural slowing of pace is something that many people find deeply restorative. When rain falls at night, the effect is even more powerful. Darkness combines with the sound of rain to create an environment that is almost perfectly designed for sleep. The world outside becomes invisible. The rain becomes the only sound. The room feels smaller and safer, protected from the elements beyond the walls. The steady sound of rain against the window becomes a lullaby, one that has been sung to humanity since the very beginning. The calming power of rain is universal. It crosses cultures and continents. People everywhere, from all walks of life, respond to the sound of rain with a sense of peace. It is one of the few sounds that almost everyone finds relaxing. This is not a learned response. It is something instinctive, something built into the human experience over thousands of generations. So as the rain continues to fall, let yourself sink into its gentle rhythm. There is nothing you need to do. There is nowhere you need to be. The rain will fall as long as it needs to, and you can rest as long as you need to, wrapped in the oldest and most comforting sound in the world. Now let us consider what happens inside the brain when we hear the sound of rain. The relationship between rain and the human mind is fascinating, and understanding it helps explain why we find the sound so deeply calming. The human brain is constantly processing sound, even when we are not actively listening. Every noise in the environment is evaluated by the brain to determine whether it is important or not. Sudden loud sounds trigger a response in the amygdala, the part of the brain that processes threat and fear. But rain sounds are the opposite of sudden. They are gradual, predictable, and repetitive. The brain categorizes them as non-threatening, and this allows the nervous system to remain in a relaxed state. One of the key ways rain affects the brain is through a concept called masking. Rain creates what is known as a masking sound, a consistent background noise that covers up other, more disruptive sounds. Without rain, our ears might pick up the distant sound of traffic, a neighbor closing a door, a dog barking somewhere down the street, the hum of a refrigerator cycling on and off. These unpredictable sounds capture the brain's attention because they stand out against the quiet. But when rain is falling, it fills the auditory space with a steady signal. Those sudden sounds become muffled and less noticeable. The brain no longer needs to pay attention to them. This masking effect is one reason why rain sounds are so effective at helping people fall asleep. The brain is freed from the task of monitoring the environment for unexpected noises. It can let go of its vigilance and allow the body to drift into rest. Rain also influences brainwave activity. Research has shown that certain types of steady rhythmic sounds can encourage the brain to produce more alpha waves, the type of brain waves associated with a calm and relaxed state. When alpha waves are dominant, the mind is awake but not alert. It is a state of gentle awareness, the kind of mental space that exists just before sleep. This is the ideal state for falling asleep naturally. The rhythm of rain, typically falling at a rate of several drops per second, falls within a frequency range that is naturally soothing to the human brain. This is not a coincidence. The human auditory system evolved in environments where steady natural sounds like rain, flowing water, and wind through leaves were constant features of the soundscape. Our brains are wired to find these sounds calming because they signaled safety throughout our evolutionary history. Rain also affects the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary functions like heart rate and breathing. When we hear calming sounds, the parasympathetic nervous system becomes more active. This is sometimes called the rest and digest system. It slows the heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and encourages deeper breathing. The sound of rain gently nudges the body into this parasympathetic state, making it easier to relax and fall asleep. There is also a chemical response to calming sounds. The brain releases serotonin, a neurotransmitter that regulates mood and promotes feelings of well-being. At the same time, cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress, begin to decrease. This combination of increased serotonin and decreased cortisol creates a feeling of peaceful contentment. The brain also associates rain with positive memories. For many people, the sound of rain brings back memories of childhood, of being safe inside while rain fell outside, of cozy afternoons spent reading or napping. These positive associations strengthen the calming effect of rain sounds. The brain does not just hear the rain, it remembers the comfort that rain has always brought. So when you listen to rain falling, your brain is doing much more than simply processing sound. It is entering a state of calm awareness. It is releasing calming chemicals. It is slowing the body's stress response. It is letting go of vigilance, and it is remembering, somewhere deep in its ancient pathways, that rain means safety, rest, and peace. Rain shapes the natural world in ways that are both visible and invisible. When rain falls on a forest, it does not simply wet the leaves. It begins a chain of events that touches every living thing in the ecosystem. The sound of rain in a forest is different from the sound of rain in a city or an open field. Trees catch the falling water, and each type of tree handles rain differently. Broad leaves create a wider, softer patter as rain lands on their surfaces. Needle-shaped leaves on pine trees allow rain to slide off more quickly, creating a lighter, higher-pitched sound. When rain moves through a forest canopy, it passes through several layers of leaves and branches before reaching the ground. Each layer changes the sound, softening it, spreading it out, until the rain that reaches the forest floor sounds more like a whisper than a drumming. Forests also respond to rain in visible ways. The leaves of many plants seem to brighten when wet. The colors become richer. The bark of trees darkens. Moss that may have appeared dry and brown begins to swell with moisture and turn a deeper shade of green. Tiny streams form along the forest floor, carrying water to lower ground. The whole forest seems to exhale with relief when rain arrives. Animals respond to rain in their own ways. Many birds become quiet during rain, settling into protected spots among the branches. They fluff their feathers to trap warm air close to their bodies and wait for the rain to pass. Small mammals retreat to their burrows and dens. Deer find shelter under the thickest parts of the forest canopy. Insects hide beneath leaves and under bark. The activity of the forest slows down, matching the rhythm of the rain. But rain is also essential for life. Without it, forests could not exist. Rain provides the water that trees need to grow, that rivers need to flow, that soil needs to support plant life. A single large tree can absorb hundreds of liters of water from the soil each day, pulling it up through its roots and releasing it into the air through its leaves. This process, called transpiration, helps create the conditions for more rain. Forests and rain are connected in a cycle that has been running for millions of years. In grasslands and open landscapes, rain arrives differently. There is no canopy to soften its fall. The rain strikes the ground directly, creating a sound that is more percussive and immediate. The dry earth absorbs the first drops quickly, and the smell of wet soil rises into the air. This smell has a name, petrichor. It is caused by oils released from plants and soils when rain makes contact with dry ground. It is one of the most beloved scents in nature, and humans are remarkably sensitive to it. Rain also shapes the physical landscape over long periods of time. Each raindrop carries a tiny amount of energy. When billions of drops fall over thousands of years, they slowly wear down rock and carve valleys. Rain is one of the primary forces that shapes mountains, creates canyons, and forms the fertile soil that supports agriculture. The rain that falls today has been falling for millions of years, and the landscape around us is the result of that patient, persistent work. Puddles form after rain, and even these small bodies of water become miniature worlds. Birds drink from them. Insects lay eggs in them. The water slowly soaks into the ground or evaporates back into the sky, completing the cycle. Each puddle is a reminder that water is constantly moving through the world, falling from the clouds, touching the earth, and returning to the sky. Rain nurtures the world in quiet ways. It refills rivers and lakes, It waters the crops that feed entire populations. It cleans the air and washes the streets. And throughout all of this, it makes a gentle sound that reminds us that nature is at work, patient and steady, always providing what the world needs to grow. There is a scientific reason why the sound of rain is so effective at helping the mind relax. It has to do with the acoustic properties of rain and how the human brain processes different types of sound. Rain is what scientists call a broadband sound. This means it contains energy across a wide range of frequencies, from very low rumbles to high-pitched pattering. Most natural sounds are broadband sounds. Wind, waves, and flowing water all share this characteristic. The human auditory system evolved in a world filled with these broadband natural sounds, and our brains are optimized to find them calming. One of the most important concepts in understanding rain sounds is the difference between white noise and pink noise. White noise contains equal energy across all frequencies, like the sound of static on a radio. It can be effective for masking other sounds, but it can sometimes feel harsh to the human ear. Pink noise is different. It contains more energy in the lower frequencies and less energy in the higher frequencies. This makes it sound warmer and more natural. Rain is closer to pink noise than white noise, and this is part of why it feels so gentle. Pink noise has been studied extensively for its effects on sleep. Research has shown that listening to pink noise can increase the amount of deep sleep a person gets. Deep sleep is the most restorative stage of sleep, the stage where the body repairs itself and the brain processes memories. The steady rhythm of pink noise helps the brain synchronize its slow wave activity, leading to more stable and restful sleep. Rain sounds also have a predictable pattern. Each raindrop falls at a rate determined by gravity. While the timing between drops can vary, the overall pattern remains steady over time. The brain is very good at recognizing patterns, and when it detects a pattern that is regular and non-threatening, it can relax its alertness. This is different from irregular sounds like traffic or conversations, which force the brain to stay attentive because it cannot predict what will come next. The volume of rain also plays a role. Moderate rain typically measures between 30 and 50 decibels, depending on how close you are to the source. This is roughly the same volume as a quiet conversation or a library. It is loud enough to mask background noises, but soft enough not to be intrusive. The brain does not need to work hard to process sound at this volume level. It can simply let the sound wash over the mind. There is also something called acoustic comfort. This is the feeling of being in a sound environment that feels safe and pleasant. Acoustic comfort is determined by the type of sounds present, their volume, and their predictability. Rain scores high on all of these measures. It is predictable, it is gentle, and it is associated with safety. This is why rain sounds are used in many sleep meditation apps and relaxation recordings. The frequency distribution of rain is also interesting. Most of the acoustic energy in rainfall is concentrated in the lower to middle frequencies, between about 100 and 1000 hertz. This range overlaps with the frequencies that the human ear is most sensitive to, but it does so in a way that feels soothing rather than stimulating. Higher frequency sounds, like the chirping of birds or the ringing of a telephone, are more likely to grab the brain's attention. Rain has very little energy in these higher frequencies, which is another reason it feels calming. Rain also creates a sense of acoustic enclosure. When rain is falling steadily, it creates a consistent sound field that surrounds the listener. This gives the impression of being inside a protective bubble of sound. The outside world feels muffled and distant, This acoustic enclosure contributes to the feeling of safety and comfort that makes rainy days so perfect for rest. All of these acoustic properties work together to make rain one of the most naturally soothing sounds on Earth. The science of sound explains why rain feels the way it does. It is predictable without being monotonous, gentle without being silent, and constant without being intrusive. The sound of rain is nature's lullaby, perfectly designed to help the human mind and body find peace. Rain has been part of the human experience since the very beginning. Before there were written languages, before there were cities or farms, early humans lived in a world where rain shaped every aspect of daily life. For early humans, rain was both a challenge and a gift. It made travel difficult and brought cold and discomfort. But it also provided the water that was essential for survival. Early humans had to understand rain in order to live. They learned to read the sky, to recognize the signs that rain was coming, and to prepare for it. They sought shelter in caves and under rock overhangs, and they listened to the rain falling outside their protected spaces. This experience of being sheltered from the rain is one of the most ancient human experiences. Imagine an early human family huddled together in a cave while rain falls outside. The fire crackles. The sounds of the forest are muffled by the falling water. The world beyond the cave entrance becomes soft and blurred. Inside, there is warmth, safety, and the comfort of being together. This is the original cozy moment, and it is encoded deep in human memory. As human civilization developed, rain continued to play a central role. The first agricultural societies depended entirely on rain to water their crops. A season with too little rain meant drought and hunger. A season with too much rain meant floods. Rain was a matter of life and death, and early cultures developed complex rituals and beliefs around it. Rain gods and goddesses appear in almost every ancient mythology. People prayed for rain, celebrated it, and sometimes feared it. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh tells the story of a great flood sent by the gods. In Hindu mythology, the god Indra controls the rains. In African traditions, the rainbow serpent brings the rains that nourish the earth. The Norse god Thor was associated with thunder and storms. Rain was so central to human survival that it became woven into the spiritual beliefs of cultures around the world. Rain also influenced where people chose to live. The earliest human settlements were almost always located near sources of fresh water. Rivers, lakes, and springs provided reliable water, but rain was what replenished those sources. Areas with reliable rainfall became the centers of early civilization. The Fertile Crescent, the Indus Valley, the Yellow River Basin, these were all regions where rain and rivers created the conditions for agriculture and urban life. Throughout history, rain has been a symbol of renewal and cleansing. Almost every culture has traditions that involve water for purification. Rain washes away dust and dirt, both physically and symbolically. A rain shower after a long dry period feels like a fresh start. The world seems reborn after rain. Leaves are greener, the air is cleaner, and the sky seems higher and brighter. Rain has inspired countless artists, poets, and musicians. The sound of rain appears in classical music, in jazz, in folk songs from every continent. Painters have tried to capture the soft light and muted colors of rainy days. Poets have written about the melancholy and the beauty of rain. There is something about rain that speaks to the human heart in a way that few other natural phenomena can match. Even today, in our modern world of climate control and reliable shelter, rain still affects us. It changes our plans. It slows us down. It gives us an excuse to stay indoors, to make a warm drink, to curl up under a blanket. The modern world is busy and demanding, but rain still has the power to press pause. It reminds us that we are part of nature, that we are not in control of everything, and that sometimes the best thing to do is simply to stop and listen. The relationship between humans and rain is one of the oldest relationships we have. It is a relationship built on dependence, respect, and a deep sense of comfort. Rain has nourished us, shaped our civilizations, and lulled us to sleep for thousands of generations, and it continues to do so every time the sky opens and the gentle falling begins. There is something uniquely comforting about a rainy night. The combination of darkness, warmth, and the sound of rain creates an atmosphere that is almost perfectly designed for rest and reflection. When night falls and rain begins, the world becomes smaller in a comforting way. During the day, the landscape stretches out in all directions, full of movement and activity. But at night, especially on a rainy night, that vastness disappears. The darkness limits what we can see. The rain limits what we can hear. The world contracts to the size of the room we are in, and that feels safe. The mind no longer needs to process the complexity of the outside world. It can focus on the simple, immediate environment. The feeling of being inside while rain falls outside is one of the most fundamental sources of human comfort. Psychologists call this the sanctuary effect. It is the feeling of protected coziness that comes from being in a safe space while elements that could be uncomfortable are kept at a distance. The rain is out there, the warmth is in here. This contrast between inside and outside creates a feeling of profound security. Rainy nights also have a unique quality of light. Even in a dark room, the light from outside is different when it is raining. Street lights and house lights reflect off the wet surfaces. Raindrops on a window catch the light and create small points of gentle brightness. The sky itself seems to glow with a soft, diffuse light, the clouds reflecting the lights of the city or the natural darkness of the countryside. This soft light is easy on the eyes and contributes to the overall feeling of calm. The temperature also changes when rain falls at night. Rain often brings cooler air. The contrast between the cool air outside and the warmth of a bed or a blanket adds to the feeling of comfort. There is nothing quite like the feeling of being warm and dry while cool rain falls just beyond the window. The body relaxes into the warmth and the mind follows. Rain at night also affects our sense of smell. The air inside a room on a rainy night has a particular quality. It is slightly cooler, slightly more humid, and carries traces of the earthy scent of rain. For many people, this smell is deeply comforting. It triggers memories of other rainy nights, of childhood bedrooms, of times when the world felt safe and simple. The sound of rain at night is also different from rain during the day. At night, the background noise of human activity is much lower. There is less traffic, fewer conversations, less machinery. This means the sound of rain stands out more clearly. It becomes the dominant sound in the environment, and the brain can focus on it without competition. This purity of sound makes the rain even more effective at calming the mind. Rainy nights are also associated with rest. Throughout human history, rain meant that certain activities had to stop. Hunting, farming, traveling, these things were difficult or impossible in heavy rain. Nighttime already signals rest, and rain reinforces that signal. The combination tells the body that this is a time for sleep, for recovery, for staying still and safe. There is a Japanese concept called komorebi, which refers to the way sunlight filters through trees. There is no exact English equivalent. But there should be a word for the feeling of lying in bed on a rainy night, warm and comfortable, listening to the gentle sound of rain against the window. It is one of the most peaceful experiences available to human beings. Perhaps this is why rainy nights are so often remembered with fondness. People recall the sound of rain on a camping trip, the feeling of falling asleep in a cabin while rain fell on the roof, the comfort of being tucked into bed while a storm passed overhead. These memories stay with us because they represent moments of true rest, moments when we felt completely safe and completely at peace. So as the rain continues to fall through the night, let it carry you gently towards sleep. The night is long and the rain is steady. There is no rush. There is no need to stay awake. The rain will be here as long as you need it, and sleep will arrive in its own time, soft and welcome as the rain itself. As our story ends, let the quiet ideas settle softly. Your body can continue to relax, breathing slow and steady. If sleep is near, let it arrive naturally. Thank you for spending this moment here on Cozy Sleep Time. Return anytime for another peaceful journey. Good night.